So hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anjali. So in today's video, I will be talking about these four aspects which can help you to improve your English. Because without these four aspects, you cannot improve your English, you cannot learn this language. And how these aspects work, and along with these aspects, I'm going to talk about the resources of these aspects. I know you have already known about the aspects, which are listening, reading, speaking, writing. These are the essential aspects in order to learn this specific language. And we'll have to focus over these four aspects so that we can improve our English. We can learn so many things when we start working over these four aspects. But here, I'm not going to talk about these four aspects, but I'm also going to talk about the resources of these aspects. And most important thing, I'm not going to talk about only one resources of each, only one resource of each aspect. No, I'm going to talk about two resources of each and every aspect so that you would have one choice. If you don't want to pick first one resources, you could pick the second one. So you have two choices. So it depends on you which one aspect you want to use in order to improve your English. That depends on you. So without wasting any further ado, recently I have learned one phrase, that is the drop of a hat. Let's get into this video. What does it mean? It means instantly, without any delay. Let's get into this video. So the first one aspect is your speaking, because speaking is very important. Without speaking, you cannot become fluent in English. You will have to understand this. Without speaking, speaking cannot be happened. So you'll have to make sure that you are going to spend a lot of time when it comes to talk about your speaking practice. So the first aspect is your speaking, and from where you can do your speaking practice. Here I'm going to share with you two resources which can help you to do your speaking practice. The first one, that is acefluency. On acefluency, you are going to get 30 minutes free talk every single day, and it's free. Without paying any single penny, you are going to get 30 minutes free talk, and you will connect with several co-learners who is as keen as you towards learning this language, and they would definitely help you to improve your English. And so many kind-hearted people, they are going to teach you, several things. They are going to teach your communication skills and so many other things which is going to help you to improve your English. And most important thing, on this application you are going to get 30 minutes, and you will connect with people all across the world, and they are going to help you out with this language. They are going to have a great conversation with you, and you would be surprised when you listen to them, when you are going to have a conversation with them. They speak quite good. And whenever you connect with people who are not good at it, you'll have to manage and you'll have to teach them something or the other. Okay, and talking about the second application, that is CV application. On this application, again, you are going to get 30 minutes free talk, and you're also going to connect with several people all across the world. And most important, you're going to connect with several kind-hearted people, and you're going to have a great conversation with them. You're going to learn, you're going to improve a lot. When you start having conversation with them, when you start connecting with several co-learners who are as keen as you towards learning this language, and you start having conversation with them, you will start slowly and gradually, you will start improving your English. And most important thing, I just want to share with you, the first and the foremost thing that you need to understand, whenever you are using these applications, make sure that you are not going to show your real identities to people. Not, you don't need to share your real identity. And most important thing, when you connect with a person, when you connect with a co-learner, within 1 minute you got to know about it, what's the intention of that person behind making this call. If you got to know about the intention, if the intention is not good, if the intention is not learning this language, immediately cut the call and complain about that person. Simple thing that you need to do. Do not think about something or the other. Immediately cut the call and complain about that person. That's it. Yeah, and within 10 to 15 seconds you got to know about it. You don't need to waste 1 minute also. Yeah, let's move to the second aspect, that is your listening, because listening plays an important role. Without listening, speaking can't be happen, because whatever we listen, The same thing we speak now. If we don't listen something or the other in English, how can we speak that thing in English? It is important. Listening also plays an important role, and we'll have to dedicate we'll have to dedicate our time towards listening, because listening also plays an important role. And for listening, I'm going to suggest you two podcasts which can give you which can give you massive result when it comes to improve your English. So the first one podcast channel that I would like to reveal here, that is the stories of Mahabharata. I cannot even explain about it. One day what happened, I have a story to tell you. So one day I was listening to the stories of Mahabharata. So I was listening to it in English. Yeah, I'm going to share you the link in this video's description. Okay. So the stories of Mahabharata, I was listening one day, and all of a sudden my grandma, she called me, and I went inside the kitchen. And suddenly my brother, he took my earpods, and he started listening to the stories of Mahabharata. He was totally surprised and he was totally amazed. And he said, Anjali, tell me one thing. Why didn't you tell me about it earlier? I love to listen to it. And he was fell in love with the stories of Mahabharata, and he listens to it every single day. And he feel like it's so amazing the way Sudeep Bhomik sir, he narrates the whole entire story. Amazing. Whenever I get free time, I make sure that every single day I'm going to listen to one podcast of the stories of Mahabharata, one episode of the stories of Mahabharata. It's amazing. It's gonna be very amazing for you if you inculcate this habit that every single day you are going to listen to only one episode of the stories of Mahabharata. It's amazing, and it's very easy to understand. We already knew the stories of Mahabharata, what happened in Mahabharata. We already knew it, so it becomes very easier for us to understand the story. We don't find any kind of difficulties because we have already knew about it. Yeah. So the stories of Mahabharata is first podcast that I have suggested to you. And talking about the second podcast, that is The Mindset So by Daksh Jindal. Amazing. I cannot even tell you that. Amazing podcast. Whatever podcast he creates, amazing. I really like his podcast. And most important thing, when you are so much goal oriented person, when you want to achieve something in your life, his podcast is going to help you to just achieve whatever you want to achieve in your life. He motivates you, he makes you to get that positive mindset towards your work. And whatever work you are doing doesn't matter, but whatever field you are in doesn't matter, but his podcast always makes you to be dedicated towards your work. And he teaches us how to be very happy in our life without chasing money. Instead of chasing money, we don't need to chase money. We'll have to chase our expertise, we'll have to chase our profession. We don't need to chase anything else, and you are going to learn several other things. And it's a self-help channel. It's amazing, and that's why I wanted to share with you. His channel is related to education, and being a student, you should follow his podcast. You should follow his podcast channel. That is amazing, which can help you to improve your English, because he also creates podcast in English, which can also help you to improve your English. If you're too much dedicated towards your work, and if you want to achieve something or the other in your work life, so what you could do, you could just follow him, listen to his podcast every single day. That will motivate you, that will inspire you, definitely. And you will get certain motivation, and you will get certain dedication towards your work. Trust me, listen to his podcast every single day. And most important thing, pick one podcast and try to listen to that same podcast several times, so that you can make a great use out of that podcast. Okay. So listening to a podcast several times is very important. Yeah, I do this. I pick one podcast and I try to manage to listen to that podcast for a entire week. I pick only one podcast, so that this is how you're going to develop certain understanding over it. What is he trying to tell you in that podcast, and what is he trying to teach you in that podcast? Yeah. So most important thing, you will have to listen to that podcast several times to understand it well. And when we listen to something or the other again over and over, it becomes very easier for us to observe and to learn something out of it. Okay, and it's in English. It is also going to help you to improve your English when you're going to learn several words, several sentences, several times. It becomes very easier for you to speak those several sentences at ease without finding any kind of difficulties. And talking about the third aspect, that is reading. Reading plays an important role, and I feel like reading is the most important thing that you could pick in order to improve your English. And reading played an important role in my entire speaking journey, and it worked quite well for me. And that's why I wanted to suggest to you one book and which I wanted to share with you because it's amazing. And you'll have to get this book and start reading it. This is the book, that is Ignited Mind by Abdul Kalam sir. Read this book. It's amazing. You are going to learn several things, and most important thing in this book, he has answered a lot of questions. What he has answered all these questions, whatever answers the young generation raised, he tried to answer them at their full capacity. And you are going to learn several other things from this book. And most important, this book made for us young youth, and so that we are going to learn something or the other from this book. So you will have to read this book every single day. Only 10 minutes in a day. Start with 10 minutes. You'll have to do it because, yeah, most important thing, I just want to talk about time. In your initial stage, dedicatingly, you will have to spend only 10 minutes, not more than that. Try to focus over small tasks. You don't need to make big tasks. You don't need to take big steps. No, try to focus over small steps, that every single day I'm going to read only 10 minutes, not more than that. You don't need to make it so tricky. You don't need to make it so difficult for you. In your initial stage, make sure that you are going to read it. Reading is important, and learning something out of it is very important, and you'll have to understand that. And talking about the second resources, that is reading a newspaper. I don't know how much benefit and how much improvement I got when I started reading newspaper. And the same thing, I want to suggest you that start reading English newspaper, which can help you to improve your English. And if you're an English beginner, in your initial stage, it might get difficult for you to read English newspaper and understand all those things that is written down there. No, what you need to do in your initial stage, your main focus supposed to be reading that news. That's it. You don't need to focus that you are not understanding anything. You don't need to have this doubt. In your initial stage, everyone struggles to understand something or the other in English, and reading a newspaper, it contains heavy vocabularies, it contains sentence structure. So it gets a little difficult for beginners to understand it. So that is why I just wanted to tell you that you don't need to pressurize yourself to understand something or the other, to pronunciate things properly. No, your focus supposed to be reading a newspaper every single day. You'll have to spend some time towards reading newspaper, so that when you read a newspaper, you would be very excited to read it. When you see all those pictures that are there, when you see those pictures, you will get certain excitement towards reading them and towards reading the news. You will get certain excitement, and that excitement brings us dedication towards reading that entire paragraph. And the same thing here, I'm talking about your dedication. Whenever you read books, you don't get any pictures, you don't get anything. And when we have pictures, we become a little curious to read it out. Yeah, and the same thing is going to happen. Pictures draws your attention towards reading it, and it makes you to get engaged with reading. And that's why I suggested you reading newspaper. It's very important. If you want to see massive improvement, grab a newspaper every single day. If you, yeah, just pick one newspaper and try to finish that one newspaper in 3 or 4 days. Yeah, that's gonna be very easy for you to do it. Yeah, so pick a newspaper and complete that entire newspaper within 3 to 4 days. Yeah, it becomes very easy for you to do. Okay, talking about the last aspect, that is writing. Writing is a skill that we develop when we write something or the other. But nowadays we find writing so difficult. And here I just want to tell you, you'll have to write down journal every single day. That is amazing. I do it. And here I'm going to talk about two resources. For writing, we'll have to take pen or paper, that is compulsory. But what you can do, what you can write when it comes to talk about writing, first, either you can write down your to-do list or you can write down your feelings, expressions, whatever you are feeling right now, you'll have to write down your feelings. For example, I just want to give you one example which you can follow in order to improve your writing skills. For example, I have written down my to-do list. At night, I made a to-do list that these are the 5 tasks that I'm going to accomplish tomorrow. Right after writing down, the next day, I try to follow up that to-do list and try to accomplish all those tasks of mine. And most important thing, I just want to tell you, do not fill your to-do list with unnecessary stuff. Just write down 3 or 4 or 5 five five targets which you can do it, because when you fill your to-do list with unnecessary stuff, it gets very difficult for you to follow up that to-do list, and you would feel so exhausted to follow up that to-do list, and when you don't follow up, you feel demotivated. So make sure that you are going to write down only 5 things in your to-do list and try to accomplish it for the very next day. And right after accomplishing all those tasks that I have written down in my to-do list, what am I going to do? After finishing all the tasks that I have written down in my to-do list, how am I feeling? So what I usually do, I write down my feelings. What am I feeling? Yeah, and talking about creating a video is a part of my to-do list. I have written down that I have to create one video. And after creating video, how I was feeling. And I just express it that I was feeling quite good when I have created 2 videos one day. It makes me so happy that quite long I have created this video and it worked quite well. So you'll have to talk about your experiences. How was your day and how are you feeling after accomplishing all those tasks? And whatever your feelings are, you will have to write them down. If you're feeling monotonous, if you didn't, maybe you didn't accomplish all those things whatever you have written down in your to-do list, so whatever you are feeling, explain about it. Explain it. I'm not feeling well because I didn't try my level best. I didn't accomplish all those things, whatever I have written down in my to-do list. And you'll have to motivate yourself. For the very next day, I will try my level best to accomplish all those things that I'm going to written down in my today's to-do list. So write down something or the other, whatever you feel, explain your feelings. If you're feeling monotonous, if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling upset, write every single thing down. And whatever occurs in your life, write down that. In everybody's life, something or the other occurs. So what you need to do, explain in your own words. Write it down, explain it, that how are you feeling about that situation, whatever happened, how are you feeling and what is your opinion about it. Just write it down, whatever comes in your mind, because when you write now, something or the other comes up, and you will be surprised to hear, you would be surprised to think about it. When you just grab a pen or paper and start writing, you will be ready to write it down. Yeah, and it also helps you when you write down things, when you write down sentence, it also improves your sentence structure, it also improves your grammatical mistakes whatever you make when you write. And whenever you're writing, when you write them down now, you will feel like, here I'm making some mistake, and you'll have to got to know about those mistakes and correct them while you are writing them. That is important. So many times it happened to me in my initial stage when I used to write down some sentences. Right after writing them down, when I read them, I didn't get any sense out of it. And I used to repeat them again and again. And then I searched it and then I got to know about it. Here I made a grammatical error. And here that's why it was sounding a little weird. That is the problem. Whenever you write down your to-do list, whenever you write down something or the other in English, it helps you to find out your grammatical errors and improves your sentence structure. Okay, so it is going to be very helpful for you to improve your English, because writing also plays an important role. Whatever we think, first we think about it and then we write. Both are the things very important. Here what we are doing, we are creating sentences, we are developing how to create sentences, and when you write them down, you are started understanding them, how sentence structure works and how you'll have to speak them. Yeah, so here we came at the end of this video, and I just want to tell you one thing. Whatever resources I have suggested you, if you don't pick up them, if you don't inculcate them in your day-to-day life, it's this video, everything is going to be useless. Whatever minutes you have spent towards watching this video, everything will go in vain. And most important thing that you need to understand, dedicatingly you will have to spend your time, dedicatingly you will have to do your speaking practice, because speaking plays an important role, and dedicatingly you will have to listen to podcast every single day without missing even a single day. Yeah, and talking about your reading, reading also plays an important role. And every single day, make sure that you will spend some time towards reading. You'll give some time to read something or the other, because reading is important. Nowadays, we totally forget to read. You'll have to grab a good book and start reading it. If you want to grab this one book, go and get this book. And if you don't want to read this book, there are plenty of books that are available on Amazon, and maybe some books are there in your house, but you are not reading them. Why are you not reading them? Go and grab them and start reading them. Reading is very important. When you end up with one book, understand, just imagine that how would you feel right after ending up one entire book. You have read that book. It's gonna be amazing. And talking about writing, writing also plays an important role. Every single day, write down very few. You don't need to write down an entire story, but you need to write down something or the other. And creating to-do list is amazing. Expressing your feelings, that is also going to be an amazing way. Yeah, so write it down every single day. Grab a pen or paper, and at night time I usually do this, so do it at night. Yeah, before sleeping I do this, so do it at that time. It's gonna be amazing. Give it a try and start inculcating all these things in your day-to-day life and start improving your English. I hope you all found this video very informative. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and share this video as much as you can, so that this video, a lot of people got to know about this video and they are going to get a lot of benefits out of this video, because every English beginner wants this video. Okay, so this is it for today. Radhe Radhe to you all. I'll see you soon in the next video.